A well-known clothing retailer is getting caught up in cultural politics. Some people complain the new ad by American Eagle featuring actress Sydney Sweeney sent an offensive message.
In advertising, there's something called a post-mortem. At the end of a campaign, after it's run its course, all of the assets, all of the analytics, the data, the engagement rates, all of those KPIs that will inform whether or not the campaign reached its ROIs. Did people engage with the campaign, and did it drive sales? It's way too early to get into a post-mortem of the American Eagle commercial. There are plenty of people out there to talk about that. Like the previous video I did, I want to talk about the reaction, but not of the commercial, of the previous video that I made, because the reaction was very different and very telling depending on where I posted it, which is typically the case. You're not necessarily going to have the same audience from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter to TikTok. So this is a post-mortem of my previous video on two different platforms, TikTok and LinkedIn. We'll start with TikTok. TikTok, I was expecting a few hundred views, maybe 1,000. Thing blew up. I was not expecting it to blow up the way it did, which is really what viral video, that's what that is. One of the goofiest requests I would get from clients who would say, like, I want to make a viral video. Like, there's no such thing. You don't make a viral video. You make a video and you just want people to see it. That was all organic reach. That is like the holy grail of marketing, to be able to produce organic reach from a video. That's insane. And the comments were overwhelmingly positive. There were quite a few comments from people who are like me. They were creative professionals. They were in the industry. Maybe they're just getting into the industry. They've been in the industry for 5, 10, 15 years. And the demographics were wide. It wasn't just people of color. There were quite a few white people that commented here. When we get deep into demographics a little bit, so we look at the analytics, skewed heavily female, which a lot of my content does. I still haven't figured that out. And what is particularly striking about this video, especially for my content, is that it ranked high in the coveted 18 to 24 demographic. Also the 25 to 34 demographic. My videos hardly ever reach those demos. So that in and of itself, very impressive. Now, I make video content, especially on TikTok, primarily to bring attention to my creative stuff. Like, I write books, I'm working on a feature film right now. So I'm just trying to build awareness, because throughout my career working with creatives, especially in the rise of social media, that is what I always try to encourage them to do. Like, even though you're not a content creator, you still need to make content, because this day and age, as an artist, you have to be your own marketer, your own PR person. You need to put yourself out there. Even if you are repped by somebody, even if you are working with a publisher or anything like that, these days, they're going to rely on your social media following as well. The main point of the video was not necessarily to critique the ad, but it was to talk about how an ad like this could, or this creative team, find itself in the midst of controversy when you have this type of backlash resulting from your campaign. How could this have happened? My thesis is that in the ad industry, because especially with creative teams, they are predominantly white oftentimes, there are cultural blind spots that they miss. Unless there are people in the room that recognize those cultural blind spots, they tend to fall ass backwards into these things. And it's not just a creative team. These things see many eyes, go through many iterations. Sydney Sweeney did not come up with that dialogue by herself. It was written and rewritten over and over again. So now let's look at LinkedIn. That's more or less my crowd when it comes to my professional life. This is basically the corporate professional class. Now, I gotta tell you, very telling, the comments that I got from this video. First of all, I don't think a lot of people watch the video. I think my problem, and I'm going to apply those lessons to this video that you're watching now, I think that people just read the post that I wrote that introduced the video, and they did not watch the video itself. Because there were people making comments in the video that led me to believe that they either didn't watch it or they have the shittiest comprehension skills I've ever seen. It could be both. I've had to tell people for years that just because we're in boardrooms and wearing suits doesn't mean everybody's a genius. The video on LinkedIn got a little over 50 likes. I gained maybe 50, 60, maybe followers from the video. Of all of the comments that I got, and there were a bunch of comments, all of those comments came from one of 15 people. There were 15 people out of the 50-something that liked it. The number one criticism that I got is that the campaign was success. They sold jeans, it did well, the stock just went up. That was their response. These are the 15 that opposed. I covered their faces, of course, for privacy's sake, but left enough so that, you could see they're very similar demographics. So we're looking at, like I say, in the post and in the video, predominantly white. This crowd is maybe, we're talking like 50s plus. There may be mid to late 40s in this group, but these are basically all old people. And quite a few of them are, guess what? They're in marketing and advertising, creative services, things like that. And they're of the mind that as long as it performed, it's fine. Who cares? Not a single one of these people had anything to say about my comments about diversity. There were people that played the minority card. There are people that played the race card. And there was one guy that really tried to make the point of like, well, what if it was a minority or a drag queen or something like that? What if it was? It's just a white girl in a jeans ad. I didn't say anything about Sydney Sweeney's race. Not once. Never mentioned it. I did mention the race of the marketing people who were behind the ad, and notice none of these people mentioned anything about that. They had nothing to say about my critique about the monolithic creative and marketing teams. I think it was the people who were calling me a leftist and a progressive who were bringing politics into it. I think that was their little dog whistle way of criticizing my critique of their hiring practices. The only thing they kept pushing was the fact that the stock went up and people were outrage buying. The same crowd that was pissed off that Budweiser sent personalized beers to a trans influencer, that they just went on this blanket boycott of anything Bud Light, and people shooting Bud Lights with their guns and all kinds of goofy shit. That same crowd are the ones that are rushing out to American Eagle to outrage buy, to own the libs, or, whatever bullshit. American Eagle's not selling jeans to, like, my old ass. I'm 53 years old. American Eagle's not selling jeans to me or the rest of these old f***s. They're selling jeans to the 18 to 24 and the 25 to 34. And those people resoundingly did not like this American Eagle ad. And I want to address the criticism about the criticism itself. Like, it's a jeans commercial. What are you talking about? Everybody's so sensitive. It's just selling jeans. What's the big deal? See, this is the problem. People have spent the last, 10 years, maybe? More, maybe less, throwing around the word woke. Everything is woke. Woke is basically a placeholder for whatever slur you want to use, whether it's an ethnic slur, whether it's a slur against the gay community, a slur against women. Anytime, a black person or an Asian person showed up in Star Wars, or, there's a black mermaid or a black Viking or whatever, black hobbits, anything like that. Again, that's the same crowd that reacts to people of color existing in things, just merely existing. You throw the word woke around and you throw around all these other dog whistles. Gen Z,
recognizes that. They know what woke means. They think anybody that uses the word woke is a racist asshole, whether you like it or not. That is the perception. So you've been able to throw around dog whistles for years. Then you have a commercial that comes out that they interpret as full of dog whistles, and you are confused as to why they think that way. That's some short-sighted bullshit. You people want to be considered to be intellectuals. You want to be considered to be in touch with everything, yet you don't even see the basic things that are in front of you. You want to blame everybody else for those things except for yourself.
Anyway, that's my postmortem, but I won't know if I have a return on investment unless a bunch of people buy dogwood or something, or like my time travel series or my children's